Do you like talking about killers? No. We are going to talk about biggest killer in the world, that is cancer. Millions of people die because of this disease. As much as trillions of dollars are spent on treatment and study of this deadly disease, and it is mostly dreaded. That is why I told you that we are going to talk about a killer, that too of this level. Nothing in the medical world is as dreaded as cancer. You can say that it is AIDS, but not AIDS that much, because cancer can happen to anybody, okay? And first of all, we need to know that how many types of cancers can occur in body. If I have to use the term from A to Z, there are A to Z cancers. From A, B, C, I can name as many cancers from every alphabet. There are so many cancers, but we are not going to get into that. We are going to see that what are the 4 different categories of the cancer. So, first type of cancer is known as carcinoma. Alright. Second type of cancer is known as sarcomas. Third is leukemia. And the last one is lymphoma. Now this categorization is done on the basis of different tissues of the body, or if we see the body as a gross form, the gross categorization it is, okay, not individual organ can have its own cancer. Like you can have a cancer of pancreas, you can have cancer of intestine, you can have cancer of lungs, you can have cancer of throats, you can have cancer of brain, you can have cancer of bones, what not. So if we talk about carcinoma, these are the cancers of skin, okay. Usually, if the skin is infested with cancerous growth, it would be covered under carcinoma, and otherwise if we have to see in the internal body, in the visceral organs, the linings of the organ, if they become cancerous, they will be categorized under carcinomas. The next type is sarcomas, where we have the cancer type that is usually going to infest the connective tissue. Different types of connective tissues, it could be bones, it could be cartilage, and muscles also could be included. The next type is leukemia. Now what is leukemia? Commonly called as blood cancer, but it goes and infects the bone marrow. That is why the people who suffer from bone marrow cancer or leukemia, their bone marrow is transplanted time after time. And the last one is lymphoma. This is the cancer of immune system. The word lymphoma would be telling you that we are going to deal with immune cells and immune system. So these are the 4 categories of the cancer. Apart from different types of cancers, as I told you, as many as 50 cancers could be there, okay, in the human body. We are not talking about cancers everywhere, we are talking only about cancer in the human body. So you can make it out, I was quite right in calling it the most dreaded killer. Now millions of people die because of this disease. It's having certain stages. If fortunate, the person can survive, but if the cancer has reached up to its own stubborn stages, then the person is bound to die, okay. Now we are going to talk about how cancer cells, or what cancer does to our body. Cancer normally is a diseased condition where cells do not stop growing, okay. Now one should be happy that if the growth is taking place, our body will be benefited. That is not the case. First thing you have to remember is that there is a condition in normal cells that is known as contact inhibition. Cancer cells do not have this contact inhibition. First thing that you have to remember. Now what is this contact inhibition? Supposedly you have this cell, a single cell, it is going to affect the growth of other cells around it. Of course the cell will not be solitary inside the body. When the cell is losing its ability of contact inhibition, then it becomes cancerous. Now what is this contact inhibition? Supposedly we are talking about this cell. This cell has its position in the body. It is not going to allow this cell or this cell or this cell or this cell or this one, or whichever we are taking into consideration, to grow non-stop. but supposedly it loses that ability of contact inhibition. It would grow itself also non-stop, and the others would also get infected with that. That is what cancer cells do, and because of that the cells start growing non-stop without any restriction. Okay, that leads to condition known as tumor. Now every tumor is not a cancer. Okay, every tumor cannot be causing cancer. You got my point, what I was trying to tell you, that what contact inhibition is. You can draw a parallel, like supposedly you have a position fixed, like you have your house, it is having boundaries around it, and because you have your own boundaries, you have rules and strict restrictions, that is why your neighbor does not come and enter into your house. He is also bound in his own boundaries. That is contact inhibition. But supposedly this inherent property is gone, you start spreading out. Okay, you start invading others. It's like invader cells, invading ability has come, and because of that they are going to take all the nutrition, they are going to divide continuously. Okay, the cell does not divide and does not expand much because there is contact inhibition. Other is going to put pressure that you cannot come in our territory, but if the contact inhibition is gone, it is going to expand, it is going to increase in number, and that would cause cancer. But before that there are stages. Now what are those stages? As I told you, when the cell loses its ability of contact inhibition, it starts multiplying non-stop. That multiplication leads to formation of lump of cells known as tumor. Now this tumor could be of two types. One is benign and other is malignant. Now these are two English words. Benign is something docile which is quiet, and malignant is one who creates a lot of pandemonium, and so is in the case of tumor. That benign tumors are those tumors where the cell has lost contact inhibition. They are going to stay over there. Certainly they would grow in size, but they are not going to go certain places away from that site. Then the tumor is benign. But supposedly it is in the bloodstream, and the tumorous cells which have lost the contact inhibition, they are taken to other site by the bloodstream. Wherever they are going to reach, they are going to make sure that that contact inhibition or the tumorous property is spreading out, and that leads to a condition known as malignant. Okay, malleolous. This malignant tumor leads to a condition known as cancer. Okay, now you are infected with a killer if the tumor has reached a stage which is malignant. Okay, so we have come across that there is a contact inhibition that leads to formation of tumor where the cells are growing without any restriction. Okay, once they have grown, they could be growing at that particular space without growing to certain places, and if that is the condition, then it would be benign tumor. If the cells go from one place to another, that is malignant tumor, and that becomes cancer. And once you have been infected with cancer, the cancer has overtaken your body. Now you have to be diagnosed with what cancer is causing, and you need to be diagnosed first of all for the disease, for the treatments that would follow. So this is the basic understanding of what cancer does to our body. The next lesson we are going to see what would be the genetic basis for the cause of cancer. As I told you, there are so many types of cancers. What would be the various causes which would be causing this disease, that we will see in the next lesson.